Now this is going to be fun. These are the kind of videos I just want to make at the moment, and we're just going to go straight into it. We're making a tier list of the Arsenal squad from 2018-2019. The season is pretty much over. Yes, we do have 2 games to go, but I think we've seen enough to judge the squad, and we have 5 categories. No, 6, isn't it? We've got excellent being the very best that we've seen this season. We've then got above average, average, below average, and then we've got the injured and awful categories. Now, injured will be the players that just haven't played enough this season, and I don't think it's fair to judge them. And obviously, awful is reserved for Mustafi. So, let's get into this. I should explain. Average means they had a season that you would expect from them. Below would be obviously didn't really do very well, but wasn't awful. And then you've got above average, which is they weren't superstar quality, world class, but they still had a relatively okay season. So just to clear that up. Now, we're going to start off down here with Mr. Aubameyang. For me, he has had a very good season, but not quite the levels that I would expect if I was to give him excellent. I think Aubameyang is definitely a fantastic player for us. He's been a brilliant signing, and he has scored a lot of goals. But he's also been a little bit ineffective in some games and has missed the odd sitter, which for me is inexcusable for a player of his quality. Think of the Brighton game last weekend. We would have won that game if he put away that chance, which he went for some sort of scissor kick and missed. And it's moments like that which I think stops him from becoming truly a world-class striker consistently. Because he is a world-class striker, but he gets an above average rating for me. Not quite excellent. He's had a good season, a very good season. Bellerin, one of those players I think it's unfair to really judge this season because he has been injured for a lot of it. But while he was playing, he probably would be in between these two here. But for now, he's obviously going to be in the injured one. Now, Petr Cech, for me, is below average. I think the reason I say that is because I expect Petr Cech to be not so great these days. I think that he has fallen from grace over the last few years. He's definitely not as good as he used to be. However, he hasn't been awful. He has had the odd good game. I know at the very start of the season we were starting him in the Premier League, which blows my mind, but we wanted him to play with his feet, pass it out, and that's just not his game, and he really struggled, which is why Leno eventually came in and has since solidified that role in the Premier League at least. So, not an awful season, but definitely a below average season. I would have expected more from Petr Cech this season. El Neni, I don't think he's been awful. He hasn't played enough, but he's definitely been below average. He is in between below average and awful. I think he kind of goes in between. Guendouzi, very difficult to judge Guendouzi because it's his first season. So we don't know how good he can be, whether he's far from his potential, whether he's pretty much as good as he's going to get already. I think because of that, he's average. I don't think he's had a bad season. I don't think he's had a great season. He's been good. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh by not putting him in the above average category. But if he had started more games, maybe he would have had more of an opportunity to do better. But Torreira, Xhaka, Ramsey, when he was fit, was playing. It was difficult for him to get in. So I think average it's a little bit harsh, but above average, it's reserved for those players that have done better than I was expecting. Which I guess you could say Guendouzi gets in that. I don't know. We'll come back to Guendouzi. Up next is Holding. Again, he's been injured a lot, of course. He's picked up a long injury. He's going to be out for a few more months at least. I know he's back on to running. What am I trying to say here? He's kind of outside of the gym now. He's back onto the pitch a little bit, running around. But similar to Bellerin, just hasn't played enough this season. But when he was playing, he's up here. He was way above average this season. He was arguably our best defender when he got injured. But because of the injury, I think he goes there, even though I would like to put him in the above average for while he was playing. Now, Iwobi, in the first few weeks of the season, bang, would be in there. Against Chelsea, I remember we lost the game, but he was so good. And the weeks after was really good. But recently, he's been below average. So I think, in fairness to the guy, he goes into the average. I think that His bad games kind of levelled it out compared to his good games, so he's kind of in the middle. And he's been average. He's been what I expected, and that is, unfortunately, a great player on the ball. He's got tricks, he's got a really, really good positional awareness, but his end product is the most stressful thing to watch. He doesn't have an end product. He doesn't score enough, he doesn't assist enough, so I'll be expecting more from him next season, that's for sure. Carl Jenkinson, below average. I mean, I already expected him to be bad, and he was worse. Am I being harsh? Maybe. But he's just not Premier League quality. He's not Arsenal quality. I mean, maybe he gets into the bottom 10 clubs. I don't know, but not having it. Kolasinac, for me, goes into average. I think that's a pretty easy decision. He hasn't had a particularly great season, but he hasn't had a bad season. He's been pretty much average. Koscielny was injured for a lot of it, but I think he has played enough to make a decision. For me, I'm tempted to put him in above average, purely because no player is at his age, at his frailty, should be able to bounce back from an injury like he did and play so well. So, although again it might be harsh, he's going into the average. I think Koscielny has set his level so high over the last 5 seasons that even though he's playing really well right now, we expect that from him. He's a captain and our best defender when fit. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and put him into average. Although he has been above average for the last few weeks. I don't know if it's a bit more difficult than I thought this. Maybe we'll come back to him as well. Now, Lacazette. I'm going to tell you now. Best player of the season. He got voted player of the season by the Arsenal fans and the players, I believe, voted for him as well. He is the only player I'm putting into the excellent category here. The only player that I think is worthy of being better than all the rest. And Leno's next. And he's definitely above average. I was expecting a pretty decent amount from Leno when we signed him. Because obviously he's a great goalkeeper, but he's actually done better than I thought. He really has got into the team, and ever since then, he's done very well. He has been very, very good. Yes, he hasn't had many clean sheets, but have you seen our defence in front of him? So, don't think it's necessarily his fault, but he's been very good. I've really appreciated having a new goalkeeper. It has been very nice. Now, Lichtsteiner is going to be our first player to be going into the awful category, not below average. He's been awful. Every appearance he's made, I've questioned why he's on the pitch. I think we brought him in to be a bit of a leader. He's great off the pitch. I'm sure in the training ground and in the changing rooms, he commands a lot of respect. People listen to him. And he's a very experienced player. And I think that we've almost brought him in, yes, to be back up to our right-back position, Bellerin, for example. But realistically, he's not good enough anymore, and he got displaced by Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who isn't even a right-back. So I think that says a lot. I do feel a little bit bad putting him in the awful, because there was 1 or 2 games at the very start of the season where I saw him play and I thought, you know what, it's not even a bad deal, really. You know, he didn't really cost us much. His wages won't be ridiculous. He's adding a lot outside of the pitch, but on the pitch he was doing okay, but every game since... He hasn't made many appearances, but they have been pretty abysmal. Maitland-Niles goes into the above average for me. Easily explained. You expect a certain level from a player. If they exceed it, they're above average, right? Maitland-Niles, way, way, way better than I would have ever hoped if I knew that he was going to play a big part in backing up Bellerin through his injury. I wouldn't have expected him to play this well. He has been so good for us. And out of position. So he goes into above average. Mavropanos, I mean, he hasn't played enough. And when he has played, he's looked wobbly. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in below average. I'd be expecting more from him. He's been in the country for a while now. He's training a lot with Arsenal. Players that are better than him, he should be doing better by now. And I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe I'm being harsh. Mkhitaryan, below average. I think that the odd appearance where he's been really good is completely outweighed by the appearances where he doesn't do anything. Very, very average player at best. And the odd game where he does shine, I think to myself, yeah, fair play. Mkhitaryan, back in his Dortmund days, one of the best midfielders in world football at one point, I would say, at least top 25. And now I don't see it. He's lost his pace. He's still got the mentality. He sees what he wants to do. I'm sure he knows what he wants to do, but his body doesn't keep up with him. I don't think he's good enough anymore. He's been below average. The same with Monreal, actually. Monreal's a good player, but this season he's been hot and cold. I don't think he's had any appearances that I've gone, wow. He's had good appearances, but he's also had quite a lot of bad. So I think he goes below average for me. Mustafi has been absolutely awful. He's been linked with a move away already. Apparently AC Milan are interested. I would definitely get their heads checked, because why would you be interested in Mustafi? Mental. Absolutely mental. So I think he definitely deserves to go in the awful spot. I actually made a separate category called Mustafi, but yeah, that is too much of a meme, isn't it, really? Difficult one, this. Mesut Ozil. Where does Mesut Ozil go? I'm between here. Has he been average? I don't know. Can you hear that dog barking, by the way? That is like way away from me. He's loud. I think I want to put him in below average. I think Mesut Ozil has a quality about him and he doesn't live up to it half the time. Yeah, he goes in below average. I don't think he's had a good season at all. I don't think he's had more than 2 or 3 games where he's wowed me, which is a shame. It really is. Aaron Ramsey was injured quite a bit, has had some very good appearances, which I would say warrant him to be in the above average, but does it weigh out the missing games and the games where he played and didn't do much? To be fair to the guy, I think he has had a good season. I think maybe he does go into the above average. When he has played, he's done very well. Socrates, for me, up until 2 months ago, bang, he would have been right there in above average. But in the last 2 months, something's happened to our defence. I don't know what it is. And I think, unfortunately for him, it brings him down into average. I don't see how a defender in this Arsenal squad this season can get above average or excellent. I don't think our defence deserves it at all. It's been shocking. Denis Suarez, quite simply the most pointless signing in Arsenal history. Just, what did he play? 16 minutes, and now he's injured for the rest of the season. So he'll be going back to Barcelona. Torreira, again, this is a tough one because right at the start of the season, or the Tottenham game where he scored, excuse me, I'd be putting him in above average. But actually, I had quite high expectations, and I don't think he has lived up to those expectations every game, which is fine. It's his first season. I'd say he's average. He's had an average season. He hasn't had that blistering start that he had for the rest of the season. And for that, I think he goes into the average. Again, it's very early to tell with Torreira. He's still young. He's going to be better next season, I think. And maybe when we do this again next year, he'll be in this tier here. Welbeck has been injured, so I don't think it's fair to rate him. And Granit Xhaka, I would say, has been average. I don't think he's been terrible, although in some games he was terrible. And he has had games where he was our best player, our best midfielder. But I think they outweigh each other and he goes into the average tier. So, am I happy with this? I think so. I think the only ones I'm a little bit unsure about are Koscielny, because he has been very good since coming back from injury, and also Guendouzi. Has he done better than I expected? Technically, I would say he has, but I think I'm happy. Maybe Mesut goes into average. Maybe, yeah. I mean, the games where he was good, like Leicester, untouchable. He was unplayable against Leicester, and maybe he deserves to be in average. I think that's what I'm going to leave this at. I think that's good. What do you guys think? I've actually made this template on Tier Maker, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and link it in the video description of this video. Let me know your thoughts. Make your own and tweet me them, or whatever you want to do. Leave a link in the comments if you can. I don't even know if you can put links in the comments, but just let me know what you would do with this squad. in terms of a tier list. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think it goes to show what an average season we've actually had. We've had some nasty injuries to 3 pretty important players. We've had 2 players that were just awful in Lichtsteiner and Mustafi. Suarez doesn't even count. He shouldn't even be in this list. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, then please do leave a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you next time.